Well, welcome in everybody here to the Queen Sports Network. I am joined now by head coach of men's and women's swimming, Jeff Dugdale, and he is busy and trying to get set and ready to go for another national championship run as they look to go for sixth straight. Coach Dugdale, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me here during your busy schedule.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. And it's always good to be on the Queen's Network.
Well, Coach, I just alluded to it. You guys are going for a pretty cool number here this year, going for six straight. But, especially in a year like it's been since all of this stuff started happening last March, all the way through into where we are now a year later, what does this year mean to you guys just a little bit more?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it means quite a bit. And it starts with an opportunity to thank the people who believed in us during a global pandemic, like our dry sponsors in Under Armour and our wet sponsors in Speedo and Lumiton, in helping us, believing in us to help us get everything from uniforms to supporting us when we told them that we were not going to take a global pandemic as an excuse. And I just finished penning a letter to our senior captains saying that they are truly going to be able to differentiate themselves because they were provided the biggest and most acceptable excuse ever in the fact that they could either opt out, it would be okay, we're in a global pandemic. They could participate and not have the pressure of doing well because it's okay, we're in a global pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
They could get all the way to the championships and not win because it's okay because we're in a global pandemic. And what happened was our senior captains, our staff under the leadership of Sherry Swarthout took her seriously when she said, we'll have two options. We can either go bitter or we can go better. And we can choose to emerge better than we entered. And that's what our captains have done with our program. And we are hitting on all cylinders right now. And through this global pandemic, I truly believe on March 20th at the end, regardless of the outcome, we will have emerged better. And we, as I told our senior captains, keep leading because even I'm following.
Hey, I love to hear that. And, it's such a big thing because I've talked about this with several other coaches and just in general, especially I'm coming from watching athletes at the high school level now into the college level. I think the biggest thing for me is how quickly a lot of these kids have had to grow up, and maybe quicker than they ever expected. And like you said, though, it's amazing to see these young men and women just say, you know what, I'm not going to let this beat me, and just stay in it and continue on and do what they need to do to make themselves better, not just athletes, but better human beings in general. So it's nice to hear you say that about them. And let's talk a little bit about this team and the makeup of it for those that may not know about the team very much. What can you tell us about your team, both men's and women's side, that really has stood out to you here in 2021?
One of the things that makes our team special is the fact that we look like the world. We have a great combination of internationals and Americans. We have a great combination of personalities that are all well respected, and we love hearing all the different opinions that people have.
Sure.
And discerning the information that comes. But we have when I talk about experience, we not only have upperclassmen to our freshmen, but we have 4 transfers from Florida State, an LSU transfer, a Georgia transfer. When we have these from the ACC and the SEC, and you have this grouping of people, they bring with them an experience, and they bring with them a passion and a fire to want to demonstrate their role on the program and where they fit in and how they can contribute. And that wanting to serve and embracing our values of living excellence, a lifestyle of excellence versus waiting for the event, has paid off. The fact that they bought into communicating early and often, and they're really, really solidly bought into serving. And this year, being a COVID-19 year where it was hard to get out in the community and serve because of the mask mandates and the different things, they chose to not ignore the serving part of our values, but they turned to each other and helped serve the needs of each other by helping and pushing each other to another level, holding each other accountable, and doing some things that are really tough to do for young adults. And they have really done a great job. And that's the makeup of our team. And I would challenge that when they're done here, any major corporation is going to want to hire them because they know how to get in the trenches, fight alongside their teammates, and deliver results.
I would say they obviously know how to navigate some pretty tough territory here, even as just young men and women. So, looking ahead at what you guys got coming up, you guys leave on Sunday, heading down towards Birmingham, Alabama. Championship starting next Wednesday, I believe you said. What can we expect as you guys, no pun intended, dive headfirst into the
Yeah.
championships coming up next week?
You can expect some real battles from Drury, UND, our crosstown favorite Wingate, Lindenwood out of Missouri. Both Lindenwood and UND have their mentor is Brian Reynolds out of both Jasons. Our mentors to, or I mean, our mentees to Brian Reynolds out of Drury. So they're building their own legacies now in their programs. And
Gotcha.
you have Kirk Sanaki, who's a master at all this stuff and putting together great teams. He's been right there with us in our conference and everything. So you're going to see a battle, and you're going to see, we're going to see a lot of things. This will be a lot of first time for many to swim both a prelim and finals meet, which we've been practicing hard in and being able to sustain 4 days of solid swimming. Again, our team is usually defined by the way we swim on our relays. But we're going to take it serious. We're traveling in 2 different buses, keeping the men and women separate,
Gotcha.
and because of some of for safety precautions but we're going, and we're going to, what we want to do is we want to put ourselves in a battle and get it to the last relays and see what we can do there.
And a lot of people may not know this, but you guys are taking 27 individuals with you here, heading towards the championships, and that's just a staggering number for any team. But especially, I guess you guys have made sort of a tradition out of it. But at the same time, that just, I think, speaks volumes to the type of athletes that both you recruit, and then the types of athletes that really commit when they get here to Queens. And you had alluded to it a little bit earlier, kind of that idea of service, and the multinational effect of this. And I've noticed that with other teams as well, in terms of the recruiting from overseas and everything. And you had mentioned a little bit, I feel like that just brings a little bit different flavor and maybe a little bit more well-roundedness to a team by having individuals not just from the United States, but really from all around the world.
It does, and kind of where I draw my experience from is my roommate, and one of my very good friends in college, and a roommate for a short time was Yoav Brook, a 3-time Israeli Olympian, and he just what an incredible my growth in the time period that I was with him and learned from him. At that time, it was during the first Gulf War invasion, and through Kuwait and all that. And every time he called home, sometime during the phone call, the air raid sirens would go off, and they'd have to get into shelters and put their gas masks on. And it just helped. It just caused me to take pause and to really say, wow, we really we take a lot for granted in the U.S. And
Sure.
that his drive to want to be great and to get more pool time because of what he lacked where he was from was incredible, when I had everything at my fingertips for the most part. And so I was committed to, whenever I could get into a position, either in the corporate world or here, really looking at diversity and looking at how we could represent, and either from personality type. I didn't want to surround myself with lots of yes people. I always wanted to see different views. And I think that helps us put together our 3 Ds of what we call. We like to take in a lot of information and discern it.
Sure.
Then we like to be decisive with decisions based on the information we've discerned. And then we'd like to go out and perform and differentiate ourselves with that experiences that we learn from the discernment and the decisiveness, and then to really differentiate ourselves.
Well, and I know you have a lot of athletes to keep track of on both the men's and women's side, but is there anybody that this year that maybe have stood out to you in terms of maybe you didn't expect them to perform as well, or that they've just kind of gone above and beyond here this season for you in the pool?
Gosh, yeah, there's so many, and boy, do we run a risk of when you point out one that you forget. But I
Sure.
would say on the women's side, I would say um, uh, Danielle and Kayla Tennant have really have done some incredible things. But again, with the leadership of Francesca Baines and Rachel Massaro, we also had a Natalie Van Noy who has stepped up and just really put an explanation point. And then we can go down the line to our freshmen, to our sophomores, and through each class where everybody has taken a next step. Hannah Foster, who's been able to balance a nursing schedule plus her swimming
Mm.
schedule, has been amazing how she's been able to do that. On the men's side, where our team really came together was at the semester when Mate and Balaj from Hungary came in. He's a Florida State transfer, and Alex Kuhner and our leadership of Jan Delk's camp, and all of our distance, Luke Irwi and Hendrik Farber are one of our seniors. But we have this incredible core of group that respect across all the disciplines of either strokes or distances, that respect each other. And that when you get that, you start to get results. And when I say that is sometimes the distance folks complain about the sprinters getting out early, and
Okay.
the mid distance say, why do we have to do this when we could be here? But everybody knows that they have a role in this program,
Mhm.
and they play their role to the fullest. And when they do that, we are firing on all cylinders.
And I know as a coach, you probably like to hear this, but one thing that stood out to me is, walking around campus, I see a lot of these kids with their swimming gear on, and they're always together, they're always laughing, they're always having a good time in terms of just becoming better and becoming more one as a team. So I'm sure that's nice to see as a coach for you, I'm sure.
Well, it's very nice. And one person I don't want to forget here too, because I'll give you he's the classic example of everything. But I have a guy by the name of Skylar Cook Weeks, who almost before every meet or every major competition says, Coach, I'm using my words, but in so many words, he says, I'm blessed with a great talent of swimming many different disciplines. Wherever you need me, put me
Hey,
to
I
help the
like
team.
that.
When you have someone come up to you and tell you stuff like that, and tell you, if you need me in the backstroke, put me in the backstroke. If you need me in
Mhm.
the distance, put me in the distance. But I'm also a sprinter. I'm also this, and I can swim 4 events at NCAA's and make a difference in every event. You sit there and say, wow, that is incredible. That is a team player, when selfishly he could say, here's where I want to be.
Yeah.
And he will have earned that. And I would do it because he had earned that. But he always comes up to me and pours his heart out and says, wherever you need me, put me.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome to hear. And I feel like that's just a microcosm of the kind of kids that you have on these teams.
Yeah. It is. Thank you.
Well, Coach, I will not keep you too long here, but I just wanted to say congratulations, one, on the success so far here this season. And of course, the absolute best of luck. We will all be paying attention, all be watching, and making
Thank
sure
you.
that we are rooting you guys on next week down in the Nationals. So,
Thank you, Mike. Welcome aboard. And we'll be working hard to get you your first championship ring here.
hey, listen, I'm okay with a little hardware. I'm okay with that. And I promise you, I'll be working just as hard to cheer you guys on next week. So thanks so much. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. Best to you, and best in your travels, and your wife and her move down. And we're glad to have you aboard the Queens and leading the Queens Sports Network here.
Well, I could not be more excited to be a part of this school, and I have felt nothing but welcome. So that's just cherry on top. I really appreciate that.
All right. Have a great one.
Coach, have a good day.